go.
Hey, man.
Love you, Mumbi.
Hi, Mike. Can you hear me? Yes. Is the microphone working? Okay. Thank you, Erda, for your lovely, lovely words. You look beautiful today. And can we all please give a round of applause to our Mistress of Ceremonies? I also want to thank Dr. King, Julie Kincaid, and Dr. Watlington for your words of welcome. They were very nice. Looking in the crowd, I see we have, oh goodness, Dr. Tunig's here. Dean Buller, are you here? Is he here?
Here.
You're behind the pillar. Goodness, I see Dr. Harewood. Are you here? Oh, hi, Dr. Harewood. Dean Mena, Associate Dean of Students. Dr. Elise Chaplin. Student Body President, Michael Cepeda. Could you stand, please, so that everyone can know who you are?
Oh, I can. I'm learning a lot from her.
Vice versa. And the rest of my counterparts on the... Oh my God, I didn't even see you! Dr. Choppy and Dr. O'Brien. Oh my God, those two professors are basically the entire reason I'm here at the Honors College. So, without that. We have Francine, who is the Chief of Staff on the Broward campus, and her Marketing Director, Ken Franco. We have Fernando Franco, our friend from the Broward campus. Who else is here? Who else is there? Tara Levy and Patrick Gorber, Director of Student Government Relations, and Mike's Chief of Staff. Thank you so much for all of you being here today. I also want to give a special thanks to my roommate Bianca Chafoy, Chen Chen Su, and Christina Bucata. Where are they? There you are. They're photographing and recording this event, and I really appreciate it. They're just volunteering their time to be here, and we thank them. Student government thanks them. I also want to thank my other roommate, Jessica Garafola, who, along with Bianca, are basically the only reason I made it through this week. So,
I love you, honey.
Thank you so much. And finally, I want to thank you all, the wonderful student body of the MacArthur campus, for being here today. I would venture to say that this is the largest crowd I've ever seen at a State of Campus address in my 30 years. Now, I'm really, really happy to be here, apart from the obvious reason of being governor, but also because I didn't think I would make it. This morning, I woke up to work on my speech, and my computer crashed, and it wouldn't turn on. And I thought to myself, oh goodness, what about the address part of the address? You know, I mean, my Chief of Staff, Erda, and I have been working for the past month, combing with a fine tooth every detail to make this event perfect. And then finally, the most important part, the address, was going to fail. Of course, I didn't plan for this to happen, but I had to deal with it. And ultimately, Erda ended up calling Jeffrey Is he here? Do you know him? He's our local Mac expert here, and he helped me retrieve my speech, and he kind of saved the day. And the motto of this is that as student government leaders, we're going to have to deal with things that happen outside of our plan. And when they do, we have to step up, rise to the occasion, and deal with them. The theme of my talk is Where Are We Headed?, which is borrowed from last year's TEDx FAU theme, and is particularly pertinent in light of the Honors College's 15th year anniversary. But in order to talk about where we're headed, we got to talk about where we are, and even more importantly, where we've come from, as individuals and as a community. I'll start with myself. My name is Mumbi Ngugi. I'm a senior at the Harriet L. Wilkes Honors College of Florida Atlantic University, and I'm triple concentrating in Law and Society, Women's Studies, and Spanish. My journey to get to this podium, where I am now, like FAU's journey to get to where it is today, has not been without its obstacles. I started out in my freshman year as the pro tempore of the MacArthur Campus House of Representatives, which is basically an overglorified name for a person who takes minutes at every meeting. My sophomore and junior year, I served as Speaker of the House of the MacArthur Campus House of Representatives, and now I have the pleasure and privilege of serving as your 2014-2015 MacArthur Campus Governor. And as Governor, I serve as the head of the executive branch on the MacArthur campus. Student government, like the U.S. government, is broken up into 3 branches: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. I oversee the 5 student government departments, which make up my governor's administrative cabinet, or the MAC-GAC. Get it? MacArthur GAC. MAC-GAC. And these include our program board department, SAVI, COSO, the offices of treasurer and marketing. The MacArthur GAC has been very active this year thus far, and we have great plans and visions for the entire year. For example, COSO, which stands for Council of Student Organizations, under the leadership of Nicholas Van Zee, recently hosted its annual Club Fest last Wednesday, September 3rd. This is the event where clubs and student organizations get together here in the borough and advertise themselves to prospective students and prospective club members. At this year's Club Fest, I'm happy to say that we had over 120 students in attendance. We have over 19 active student organizations on the Jupiter campus and 10 more in the process of forming. And I can personally attest that being in a club is an amazing experience. My sophomore and junior year, I served as president of Spanish Club, and it was invaluable because, among other things, I learned how to manage a budget. I learned how to deal with conflicts in between my team, but most importantly, being a part of a club gave me a sense of belonging. Nick himself says that one of COSO's missions is to build a community of student leaders through shared interests and ambitions. So if you have any ideas on how COSO could go about realizing this vision, go talk with Nick. Student government will always do its best to make sure that we realize these visions together. Christian Corbet, our marketing director, works closely with Nick to aid MacArthur campus clubs in advertising and promoting their events through the creation of flyers. To create a flyer, you need to email Christian with the time, date, location, and description of your event, and he does the rest. He's a bit of a Photoshop whiz. He picks up computer things pretty fast, and his goal is to help every club that seeks assistance. So there you have it. Ask and you shall receive. I encourage you to stop by the office, talk to Christian about how you can effectively market your clubs to the students on this campus. Much like the clubs, our program board department puts on many programs on a much larger scale under the leadership of program board director Samantha Johnson and program board coordinator Rachel Rohan. Some of you might remember the welcome back party during orientation with the hydro battle in the lawn. That was program board. The comedy show with Colin Moulton. How many of you guys went to that? Right? We had over 100 students in attendance, and that was program board. Last Saturday's trip to Rapids, how many of you went to that? How many of you got rained on? Yes, LOL. But they did plan and execute that event, although they didn't plan for there to be rain. And program board's mission is to help everyone make those unforgettable college memories on and off campus, like Urban mentioned. Thank you, program board, for all you do for this campus, and I certainly look forward to making memories with you, and I hope the rest of your student body does as well. Next, we have our SAVI department, which stands for Students Advocating for Volunteer Involvement, led by none other than Lauren Terry. Thus far, SAVI has sent representatives to the new Student Day of Service in Boca Raton on August 23rd. Last night, it partnered with Newman's Club to create a vigil in memory of 9/11. SAVI's mission, in the words of Lauren, is to ensure that everyone has a chance to give back to our community, on and off campus, through volunteering and service. SAVI has future projects in the work with MacArthur Campus State Park Beach Park, I think headed by Dr. O'Brien, the Palm Beach County Homeless Coalition, Habitat for Humanity, and so much more. Both Savvy and Program Board are looking for dedicated students to build a volunteer army of people who want to take part in the program planning process. So, if you're interested in giving back to the community or planning your own trip to Rapids, let Savvy and Program Board know. And finally, within the executive branch of MacArthur Campus Student Government, I get the pleasure of working alongside my team of staff, Erda Phils, and my executive assistant, Fernanda Varela, and together we carry out our shared visions for the GAP. Student government receives our funding from a portion of activities and service fees, which we all pay. So, in the words of my predecessor, Alex Lang, I challenge you to challenge us to help make your FAU experience as memorable as possible. And without pouring a bucket of ice on my head, I accept this challenge. And I hope you do too. I want to talk to you about two more initiatives that the executive branch hopes to put on this year. Both of these were inspired by the fact that I'm actually not a Florida native. I'm from Southern California, Irvine, California, where it's pretty much temperate all the time. And it's been really hard for me to adjust to a life where I get ready for class like it's summer in the morning, and then I have to go back into my room in between classes to change because I've been poured on and I forgot an umbrella. So Erda and I got to talking, and we thought, what if student government put on an umbrella loan program? This program would be run through the Borough Student Union, and students could rent out umbrellas, maybe to walk to class or go to the dining hall and bring them back. This program could also potentially really benefit commuters who don't have the luxury of simply walking a few steps, going home and changing before class. We can't control nature, but we can control how we respond to it. Since I'm from California, my freshman year I also didn't have a car. I had to rely on the kindness of others, mainly Bianca Trefoy, thank you, to take me where I needed to go. I also didn't have a bike because I don't love biking, and I didn't want to invest in one. What if I had had a third option? What if student government could loan bikes to students, which would also be checked out from the borough and brought back at least an hour before closing? You should have received a program when you got in with a survey. If you guys could fill that out and please return it to us at the end of this, that would really help us in gathering the kind of concrete data we need to see if we can put initiatives like this through. The last executive branch initiative I want to highlight, for now, is not a new one. Have any of you heard of TED Talks?
Yes.
How many of you watch them? All right, cool. Well, did you know that MacArthur Student Government is responsible for bringing TED Talks to FAU? The TEDx FAU began my sophomore year, largely spearheaded by an alumnus named Stephen Jones. And this year, our executive assistant, Fernanda Varela, oh goodness, is charged with planning TEDx. And the theme is breaking boundaries, or rompiendo fronteras. As Fernando and I like to joke in Spanish. And its mission is to invite us to rethink how social, scientific, and geographic boundaries shape us as individuals and as global communities, and how we can break boundaries for a better future. Last year, I spoke at the TEDx FAU event about Thomas Hobbes and Stand Your Ground laws, and it was an unforgettable experience. But if you don't want to be a speaker, but you would like to be involved in planning the event, you can also serve on the TEDx committee. Applications are now open to be a speaker as well as a committee member. And committee applications close on September 30th, and speaker applications on October 30th. And professors can also apply, so think about it, hint, hint, professors. I mentioned earlier that I served on the House of Representatives for 3 years, and the House is part of the legislative branch of the MacArthur campus, as well as the university-wide Senate. The legislative elections are actually going on as we speak. There are 3 spots for the MacArthur campus in the Senate, and 6 in the House of Representatives. The deadline to fill in your candidacy forms is September 23rd, and election elections will take place on Tuesday, September 30th, and Wednesday, October 1st, and you can vote on myfau.edu. Please vote for your student representatives. As for the judicial branch, I recently appointed Khalil Ricketts. There you are, Khalil. Acknowledge yourself. Khalil's actually, oh goodness, he's the little brother of my predecessor, Kadeem Ricketts, who was the governor before me, and he's awesome. And he's recently been nominated as the Associate Justice to the Student Court, pending House approval. He will work under the tutelage of Chief of Staff to the student, or Chief Justice, that's different, to the Student Court, university-wide, our very own Alejandra Uribe, who couldn't be here with us because she's in Boca doing office hours. The student court is, they're kind of the legal scholars of student government. They're charged with interpreting the statutes of our student government constitution, and they also act as a check for us student leaders to make sure that we are always acting within the interests of the student body. The next department I want to highlight is Campus Recreation, Health and Wellness, which is not a part of student government officially. Hannah Bowduin, how do you pronounce your last name? Bowduin. Cool. My last name is Kogan. Yeah, and coordinator Melanie Thompson, who's babysitting, I think, so she couldn't be here with us today. Campus. Is she babysitting? Is she here? Hey, Melanie, what did you sneak in? That's Melanie, everyone. Let's clap for her. You didn't get your recognition. Campus Rec is responsible for putting on those open rec and intramural sports that you see outside. They've partnered with Spanish Club to put on Zumba bi-monthly on Wednesdays, and that has been a huge success. Its mission is to ensure that students on the Jupiter campus have access to all the resources they need to stay healthy and active throughout the school year. And that's really, really important because oftentimes as academically committed students, we forget to take care of our own bodies. In the stress of school, we start to stress eat, or we forget to eat, or we forget to work out, and we forget to take care of ourselves. And we don't realize that the mind is connected to the body. Campus Rec is here to help us remember that a healthy mind also needs to mean a healthy body. And I look forward to being constantly reminded of that as the year goes on. In the last 2 weeks, all the departments of the GAC, as well as Campus Recreation, conducted interviews for open positions available in student government. We were looking for a student government treasurer, 2 program board assistants, 2 recreation assistants, a COSO assistant, and a SAVI assistant. In total, we had over 75 applications. That's a lot. I mean, good job to you, students. It's really touching to see how readily the students are to engage in campus life. But with 75 applications and only 8 positions available, not everyone is going to get a job. I therefore want to highlight the other leadership opportunities we have on campus to show you that the only way to get involved is not just through having a job. As I mentioned earlier, did I recognize you, Patrick? I did. Patrick Gorber is our Student Government Relations Director, and he is working with us to create a Student Government Volunteers Relations position who would be tasked with helping Patrick become knowledgeable about local and national government affairs in Palm Beach County. And the goal of this person is to really help Patrick advocate for FAU in Tallahassee. We need to have our voice represented in the legislature. And so the government relations volunteer position on this campus would be charged with doing that. So if you're interested, let me or Patrick know. Another program we have available is the Emerging Young Leaders Program, which is a university-wide initiative to help FAU students and to become exemplary student leaders. On our campus, this program is led by Devin Herrera. Is she here? Devin? There she is. And it is designed for freshmen and sophomore students who, among other things, would shadow student government leaders to see what it's all about. Its goal is to enhance the scholarship, personal growth, and social engagement of freshman and sophomore FAU students. If you're interested in applying for this position, the applications for fall are unfortunately closed, but we're looking to open it up in the spring. So please talk to Devin or I if you're interested. Or your elite owls, Rachel Rohan and Emmy Tautiva on this campus. Now, if you live on campus and want to get involved without joining student government, you can also become a part of MAC-RSA, our MacArthur Residential and Student Association, who play a big role in shaping student life on this campus. Some of you may be wondering if there's something on campus that's tailored specifically for the largest percentage of our student population, our commuter students, or non-traditional students. The Alliance of Non-Traditional Students, also known as ANTS, under the leadership of President Taylor Welling, is a club whose mission is to engage non-traditional students in non-academic, non-on-campus pursuits. And it hopes to do so by advocating for commuter and transfer needs within administration and student government. Taylor Welling couldn't make it to the address, but if you're interested in this opportunity to advocate for non-traditional students, please talk to any of us. The MacArthur campus is certainly more than just its residential students, and everyone deserves a chance to be involved in campus life. Student government looks forward to working with ANTS to come up with ways to cater to the specific needs of non-traditional students. In the spirit of where are we headed and where we've come from, I'm so happy to be here to witness the Honors College's 15th year anniversary. It all started years ago when the John D. MacArthur Foundation donated land to FAU to build a small residential honors college here for FAU. In 1999, the Honors College was born, but it looked nothing like it does today. There were no buildings, as I understand, first of all, so none of this. There were only 5 professors, but slowly more and more were hired. RH1 was built in 1999. Oh God, that's so long ago. RH2 in 2001. No, you guys, my dad's like 76, so you know. And RH2 in 2001, and one step at a time, the Honors College became the place we know today. The Honors College has always modeled its curriculum on the ideal, as Dr. White put it, that honors education should be interdisciplinary, that the sciences should be humane, and the humanities should be scientific. And to me, through that kind of formative, cross-cultural, and interdisciplinary education, we can break boundaries. And it is really us who are going to become the primary movers of tomorrow. The first incoming class in 1999 had 77 students, in stark contrast to this year's incoming class of 108 students. The HC, of course, remains small, and the student-professor ratio is 10-to-1. So that means for every 10 students, there's roughly 1 professor, and here you're not a number. And in total, the Honors College has 368 students. But this campus is too big for 368 students. And that's because the Honors College is part of the larger MacArthur campus. And from what I understand, FAU has always had operations in the northern Palm Beaches. And at the very genesis of the Honors College, the two have always been partners, separate in day-to-day technical operations, but united in its vision of bringing excellence to FAU. And I love that because as much as I feel unique and valued as an individual in the Honors College, I also feel a part of the larger MacArthur campus community. And beyond that, I have access to a multitude of resources and facilities in Boca Raton, and I feel a part of the larger FAU community. Last year, I worked at the Writing Center, and a large base of my clientele were non-commuter, or commuter students who are non-traditional, who are non-honors college as well, working mostly in the nursing and educational programs. And talking to them I realized that we really aren't so different. We all want to work hard to achieve our goals. We are all in school to make ourselves better. And more importantly, I realized that even those who commute and have families and homes outside of here want to have a home on campus as well. Working at the Writing Center, I was privileged to meet people and see myself in their stories and in their writing. I learned that that the writing consultant and the consultee relationship need not be one of hierarchy. After all, it takes a lot of humility and courage to bring your writing to somebody, to ask for help. But when we think about it, who doesn't need help? Who among us achieves something completely alone? I mean, I couldn't have planned this event on my own. And I wrote my speech on my own, but it was a collaboration of the shared visions and ideas of the MacArthur Campus GAC and our student body. In sum, we are a community, and as such, we share some key common goals, as Dr. King mentioned. Visions and aspirations as individuals and a collective. We student government leaders are here to work with this community to realize those visions together. For, in the words of Kouzes and Posner, leadership is the art of mobilizing others to want to struggle for shared aspirations. As governor, it is both my responsibility and aspiration to create a campus community in which the development of each of us is the development of all of us as a collective. A great trinity of faculty, students, and staff. Here at the MacArthur campus of FAU, we really are that great trinity. And that doesn't mean that we all have to want the exact same things out of our FAU experience. Even within this trinity, people engage at multiple levels. For example, we have full-time and part-time students. We have honors college students. Of those who go to the honors college, we have those who live on campus, who live off campus. Of the faculty, we have honors college and non-honors college professors, those who are visiting or adjunct professors, as well as professors who've been here since the start of the honors college. Of the staff, we have administrative staff, like everyone who works at the honors college dean's suite or the office of admissions. Even deeper within that, we have students who are also staff, like Celine Vasquez, who works in the honors college office or dean's suite and is also a full-time student. We also have our student affairs graduate assistants, Wanza and Tabitha, where are they? Hi, you guys. And their staff as well as graduate students. We are all unified by being members of the MacArthur campus community. And we certainly have a beautiful community here on the MacArthur campus. I mean, how many of you guys walk to class and stop and be like, wow, this is a beautiful campus? I'm hoping everyone. I am personally proud to show us off to people. However, I venture to say that less of us see the beauty of the Honors College and think about the people who work to make it so aesthetically pleasing for us. Or what about the women and the men at the dining hall who cook for us? The individuals who mow the grass, clean the floors in the bathrooms, take out the trash, cook for us. They all play a vital role in making this campus community just that, a community. They are an essential part of our MacArthur campus trinity of faculty, students, and staff. They're staff, but they're a different type of staff insofar as their work here is not so much administrative, but more so labor, and by that, more invisible. You don't necessarily see anyone vacuuming, but you come to class every day and it's clean. You don't see anyone cooking necessarily, but you go to an event and see that there's food. And in that respect, I think it's student government's mission to make those vital members of our trinity feel as much a part of the MacArthur campus community as anyone. For this reason, this academic year, student government is going to have a Worker Appreciation Day, because everyone deserves a chance to be recognized for the services that they render to the FAU community. I want to close with one of my favorite quotes from Martin Carter, something read. He says, "I do not sleep to dream, but I dream to change the world." My world, the world, my fellow Honors College members, begins right here today with us.